We have multiple Denver Broncos injury updates ahead of arguably their most important game of the season, and this is insane. We're going to be diving into all the players that have been ruled out for this weekend's divisional matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, what the lineup, what the depth chart will look like without these marquee players in the lineup, and how it's going to have implications to the Broncos and their ability to perform at the rate that they've been performing, both offensively and defensively, in some of their strongest games this season. It's a huge game for the Broncos, and they need to make sure that they are 110% equipped to play the best football that they've played all year, even with some key players missing from the lineup. Welcome into Broncos Digest, everybody. So happy to be here talking Broncos football with each and every one of you guys that are tuning into our videos every single day. I said it once and I'll say it again. The growth that we've had over the last few days, it brings the biggest smile to my face. I can't express how happy I am to see so many people joining the Broncos Digest family, to see so many excited, passionate Broncos fans in the comments, watching the videos. It brings such a big smile to my face. It makes me so happy. So thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it more than you know. And I mean, one of the most exciting things about this growth that we've had is it's been kind of framed and built around trying to catch up to Chiefs Digest, our competitors here on YouTube where we stream all of our episodes. And we did a phenomenal job in doing so. When we started the whole movement of it's Chiefs Hate Week, let's really stick it to them, they had about that same subscriber count, 1,400-ish, and we only had 600. We are all the way up to 1,600 subscribers. 1,640 subscribers to be exact. Unreal how much we've been able to grow, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for helping contribute to the growth, but we're not done yet. It's still Chiefs Hate Week, and we got to really stick it to them because it's a little too close for comfort in this margin, in my opinion. Only about a 200 subscriber difference. You know, one episode from Chiefs Digest could help them get right back in front. And so I think we should really stick it to them. If you're part of this 92%, let's stick it to Chiefs Digest. Get up to 2,000 subscribers before tomorrow's game. I know we can do it, guys. Hit that free subscribe button. It takes 5 seconds. In fact, I'm going to make sure an ad plays on this video right now. It's going to happen in just a second here. Go hit that subscribe button. Let's stick it to Chiefs Digest. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers before the game tomorrow and really continue to emphasize the fact that it's Chiefs hate week. And I mean, we want to do everything we can to pull ahead of them. So going to play an ad right now. Go hit that subscribe button. Join the Broncos Digest family. All right, let's dive into this injury report. The following players for the Denver Broncos have officially been ruled out for the divisional matchup at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. J.K. Dobbins, Patrick Surtain, Alex Singleton, and Jonah Elliss. J.K. Dobbins, of course, with the foot injury. His status is unknown, but it's likely that he will not play for the foreseeable future. Patrick Surtain still nursing that pectoral injury, the pectoral sprain that he sustained in the Cowboys game. When that injury initially happened, which we'll dive into this a little bit later on, he was expected to miss about 4 to 6 weeks. So I think he should be coming along nicely in terms of getting back in action and being back to dialed in and ready to go for the Broncos. Alex Singleton, we're going to dive into that news in a second because his situation is pretty unreal. And then Jonah Elliss, a hamstring injury, missing from the lineup as well. So J.K. Dobbins out Sunday versus the Chiefs. Significant foot injury, believed to be out for the foreseeable future, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. Dobbins still working through options while there's no final determination. Injury reserve remains a pretty significant possibility. I've actually heard from a few sources, unconfirmed, that he may have had surgery for this injury. So whether or not that's true, he could be in a recovery phase where he's not going to be able to play for the foreseeable future. So that is a big loss. He's been a marquee RB1 for the Broncos, very good on the ground with the ball. A lot of really consistent rushes. He does really well finding the gaps in the backfield. It's going to be a big loss. And, you know, the silver lining of it, that glass half full perspective, if you will, it gives a guy like RJ Harvery a chance to really step up and solidify a consistent role as a running back for the Broncos. He's the RB1. He steps into that role, and he's going to play a big role in our offense and keeping the ball on the ground, because we know that keeping the ball on the ground works. And if Sean Payton does it more consistently, we're going to have to see RJ Harvery contribute in that regard. So that's going to be pretty significant for the Broncos. And then Alex Singleton. This is some crazy news. This is what we're going to talk about here. If you haven't seen the initial news and what happened, he did a urine sample drug test, just a routine thing that every player in the National Football League has to do. The whole pee in a cup, see if you're taking any, performance enhancing drugs and anything like that. Mostly stuff that the players in the league don't want to do. It's frustrating that they have to do it in their eyes. But for the first time in a very long time in the league, this test actually did something that potentially saved Alex Singleton's life in the long run. He did the urine test, did the steroid test, and it was revealed that he had early signs of testicular cancer from the urine sample. And so he underwent, first of all, he found that out before the Thursday Night Football game, and he still played and helped the Broncos beat the Raiders and continue their home win streak, their this season win streak, and improve to one of the best records in football at the time. So the grit of him going out and playing, that's unreal. And then on Friday, he underwent successful surgery for his testicular cancer. That was diagnosed last week. He's recovering well from the procedure with the doctors. He's optimistic that he could return to play in the coming weeks, pending additional test results. And of course, from the Broncos' perspective, which this is the absolute correct perspective, number one priority is his health and well-being. We are so grateful. It appears the cancer was caught early. I mean, he's not going to be able to play this weekend and potentially in weeks following, but unreal injury or illness type of situation, whatever you want to call it, in which I'm not even kidding when I say this could have saved his life in the long run. But as grateful as we are that he is doing well after the procedure and that they caught the cancer early, back to the football side of it, he is missing from the lineup regardless of the reasoning, and that's obviously a key piece to our defense, and we will not have him against the Chiefs. He shared the news with his team the morning, after the game and kind of when the situation was truly unfolding. He's grateful for everybody's support. Can't wait to get back on the field soon. I suspect he will be coming back before we know it, but obviously, like I said, his health is the number one priority. And then, like we said, Patrick Surtain, this was on October 27th when this news obviously initially came out. He's week to week, suffered that pec strain versus the Cowboys. Maybe we'll see him back in the game after the Chiefs, but as it stands right now, the reality of it is we are without our CB1 for the Chiefs game, which is unfortunate. But, Riley Moss has done a great job stepping into that CB1 role. He's a consistent quarterback. He gets a lot of smack and a lot of hate, for potentially being a unproductive cornerback. I disagree with all that. I think he does wonderfully at his respective position, hoping he can step into that role and be a difference maker in the Chiefs game. And then on the brighter side of injuries, Marvin Mims, which we did a more in-depth episode from my co-host Sebastian. He posted a video talking about how Marvin Mims is such an X factor and such a significant piece to the Broncos' success, and that we kind of saw how significant he was without having him in. He was a full participant in practice. He was listed not as questionable or anything, so I don't have full confirmation on this, but I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing him playing, and that's obviously some good news in these injury updates and everything. After that concussion, we'll have him back in our receiver core. We'll have him back in the backfield, returning punts and kicks, etc., so forth. And he plays a pretty significant role in that regard. Also, just really quickly want to just let people know this if you didn't know this, because I didn't know this, and I think it's pretty funny. And I don't know if this is a common thing. Riley Moss is listed on the depth chart as a punt and kick returner. I think he's the third guy that's in line on the depth chart to do it. But I would honestly love to see Riley Moss get the opportunity to return a kick and see if he can, take it the distance. Just a little random thing. If you didn't know that, now you do. But Marvin Mims expected to be back slotted into the lineup. That's going to be a huge addition for the Broncos, aside from the fact that some of these injuries are going to evidently hurt the Broncos, so to say. So let's just take a look at the depth chart. You got J.K. Dobbins, who's out, which puts RJ Harvery at the RB1 and Tyler Batty at the RB2. And then looking down on the tight end and kind of those positions, none of that is really new. Everybody kind of expected that. And as far as our starters, pretty healthy offensively, obviously, besides the big loss in J.K. Dobbins. But, hopefully RJ Harvery will be able to step into that role. And then looking defensively here. Obviously, Alex Singleton, Jonah Elliss, who we talked about as well briefly in the start. So that is two different linebackers who are out. And then Patrick Surtain, our left corner, unfortunately not available either. But, we still have guys in the backfield like Talanoa Hufanga, Riley Moss. So hopefully, we have guys like Chris Abrams-Drain who can step up and be a role player in this game against the Chiefs. But obviously, defense is missing some key pieces, and it's worth noting ahead of, like I said, what I would say is maybe one of the most important games of the Broncos season. They're on a very long home game winning streak, stretching across last season and this season. They're on a 7-game winning streak during this season. They're 8-2, and they're playing a pretty hot Kansas City Chiefs team who's 100% coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder and full intention of sticking it to the Broncos and ending all of these home win streaks, regular win streaks, all this stuff. And so this is a big prove it game for the Broncos. They need to show and they need to prove that they can beat a divisional opponent that is daunting and poses a threat, so to say, for them in the standings. They've obviously gotten a bunch of really good wins this season. They're a gritty, hardworking team who gets wins when it matters, but this one's going to be important, and these injuries are going to play a role in who steps up and who has that next up mentality moment. Very exciting stuff for the Broncos. That game is going to be electric. We'll be keeping you covered as usual here on Broncos Digest for all things during the Chiefs game, after the Chiefs game, and any other news unfolding throughout the remaining weeks in the season, and more notably in the playoffs too, because it's looking like the Broncos will have a shot at a decent seed in the playoffs and maybe make some noise. Knock on wood. Going to make sure that they obviously keep up their consistency. One more time, let's stick it to Chiefs Digest. Come on, let's get up to 2,000 subscribers. We're so close. We can do it. We did it. I mean, we got like 800 subscribers in the span of a day and a half. We can get 400 more before the game tomorrow. Would be an unreal goal. It would mean so much to me if you guys could do that. Hit that free subscribe button. I'm going to show it one more time. I cannot hammer this point enough. We already beat them in subscriber count. We've pulled ahead. Let's get to 2,000 and really stick it to them, just like the Broncos are hopefully going to stick it to them in the game tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make it a great rest of your day. Do something nice for somebody today. Hold the door for somebody. Give somebody a compliment. Spread some love. Spread some kindness. I'm starting to realize that I have this platform. A lot of people watch these videos. Why not spread some positivity? Tell somebody that you love them. Give somebody a compliment. Any sort of thing like that. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you guys soon here on Broncos Digest. Cheers, everybody.